يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة، يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والمؤمنون والمؤمنات بعضهم أولياء بعض يأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر ويقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة ويطيعون الله ورسوله أولئك سيرحمهم الله إن الله عزيز حكيم. عطروا مجالسكم بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. In the divine scheme, men and women are not meant to be the same. They were meant to be equal but not identical. They were meant to be partners and supporters of each other, an integral part of each other, complementary to each other. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed this world, that those two genders have to be complementary to each other. And life would not be integrated without both. Therefore, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he refers to women as siblings of men. النساء شقائق الرجال. Siblings connote here equality, but not identicalness. In the eyes of the parents, siblings are equal, but not identical. One is different from the other. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to the relationship of men and women, He states in the Holy Quran, هن لباس لكم وأنتم لباس لهن. They serve as garments for you, and garment serves as protection, attraction, ornaments, value and honor. This is the meaning of garment. Therefore, you and them, men and women, they are garments for each other. They are necessary for the development of each other. Nowhere you would find in the Holy Quran or the tradition of our noble Prophet, may the peace of Allah be upon him and his family, nowhere you find that the Quran implies that one gender surpasses the other. Nowhere in the Quran. And I will come to some Quranic texts. I will try to explain them, explain the true meaning of them. The Quran does not imply any partiality in the interest of men. No favoritism for men, contrary to the general belief. In the Quran, the totality of the community and the society is important, not a specific gender. The priority is given to the totality of the society, not men or women here. The general welfare of the society is very important. Therefore, you may ask me then, what does Allah mean by saying, الرجال قوامون على النساء? What is the meaning of قوامون here? For those of you who are familiar with this verse. According to progressive and broad-minded commentators of the Quran, they believe the meaning of قوامون here, الرجال قوامون على النساء. It is not supervision. It is not priority. It is not favoritism. It is not any preference given to men over women. What is meant here by Allah is that in responsibility, men are a step further than women. In their responsibility towards the family, the community. They are a step further. Not that they are the supervisors. They have more responsibility. الرجال قوامون على النساء. And therefore, when we look at the Quran and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about women in the Quran, you will find the following. These are certain formidable facts in the Quran that we Muslims, men and women, brothers and sisters, we have to memorize them. We have to implant them in our minds and hearts. In our discussion with our non-Muslim friends, we have to have the answer ready. The answer from the Quran, from our book, from the main source of legislation in Islam. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran about women. Number one, the Holy Quran equalizes men and women when it comes to creation. What is the big deal about that? The big deal is that there are other religious traditions who believe, who assert that God created man first. And what was left of him, of his remnant, of his loin, of his surplus, the surplus of his bones, he decided to create female. That's what they believe in. So women have been created from remnants of men. Men are original creation. And then women are secondary creation. But when you open the Quran, Surah An-Nisa, the very first ayah in Surah An-Nisa, and there are other verses in Surah An-Nisa, other verses in the same chapter and in other chapters, you would find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala equalizes them in the creation. Equalizes them in the value and the honor. Both have the same, exactly the same value. There is no superiority or inferiority when it comes to God. Our religion, Islam, not the Muslims, Islam. We have to differentiate between the two. Our faith, the doctrines of our faith are genderless, not based on gender. When it comes to Allah, we are a human being. Allah does not look at our genders, at our colors, at our languages and tongues. Allah looks at our hearts. إن الله ينظر لا ينظر إلى صوركم وأشكالكم ولكن ينظر إلى قلوبكم. He looks at your hearts. And He will judge you by your hearts, by your conduct, not by your gender or race. And also the Holy Quran equalizes men and women when it comes to their moral and religious obligations. But when you look at other religious traditions, you would find that female have been held more accountable. They tell you that Eve is the temptress. When Satan came first, he approached Eve. Therefore, when he was able to seduce Eve, Hawa, it was easy for him to seduce Adam. She went to her husband and she made the job of the shaitan easy. She seduced her husband. So he came to the female first.